This video is going to be about back squeezing strength. So this question comes from @blank crate VK. And they said, I just found this channel and it has some interesting stuff. Welcome to the channel. And thank you for your kind words. Eric, do you have any isometric exercises in particular to help with back squeezing strength? I'm a wrestler and squeezing is a big part of it, and I hope you can inform me. Thanks. Thank you for asking that. So, when it comes to back squeezing strength, strength is strength. And when you are coming up with exercises that are going to have a transfer to whatever it is your sport is, in this case, it happens to be wrestling, what I would recommend doing is not trying to replicate it completely, but replicating certain aspects of it. In this case, positioning might be one of them. In which case, for back squeezing strength, what I'm imagining you're talking about would be something like a suplex. So something like taking a gable hold, I think is what it's called, where it's like an over-under. So if you have access to like one of those grappling dummies that they sometimes sell, where it's like that blue guy and they've got their arms out like that, you take it from behind and you just squeeze it as hard as you can. That should have a relatively high transfer because it's going to be a similar positioning to what you have. And that's kind of what the dummy is made for, is practicing various holds, in which case you practice the various holds and you practice it isometrically. But particularly with that dummy is that there's going to be a little bit of a give. And when there's a little bit of a give to it, it doesn't signal to your central nervous system that this is going to be impossible to move, so why even bother, right? That's actually one of the issues. I don't know how long you've been following the channel for, because you asked us a while back, and I'm just now getting to it. But that was one of the reasons I said it's not optimal to push against a brick wall because there isn't any give to it, so it doesn't feel like you're going to win, in which case you're going to subconsciously hold back. I think it's called cortical inhibition, if I remember correctly. You could also do a similar thing with a tree, although it's not going to be as optimal. In fact, I actually have a bit of a judo background, and I remember hearing a legend of the guy who had pioneered Ippon Seoinage, which is the shoulder throw. Is he would wrap his belt around a tree, and he would attempt to throw the tree, and of course, he's not ripping the roots out of the ground. But he said when you've attempted to throw a tree enough times, throwing a human is easy. And from what I understand, he was a pretty devastating judoka. So there's probably something to it. But with that belt, there is going to be a little bit of a give in the belt, just because like it's not going to be completely tight. There's going to be just a little bit. But something like that might be useful too. What you could probably also do is wrap a yoga mat or something around the tree, which would pad your arms and stuff a little bit from the tree bark, and would give a little bit of that give so you could produce more of a contraction. Now, that is the stuff that is like kind of particular to your sport. What I would also recommend, assuming that you have like a clear health history and you don't have like restricted movements or anything like that, is I would simply get better at chin-ups and weighted chin-ups, as well as deadlifting. Someone that can deadlift twice their body weight is probably going to be able to squeeze someone pretty hard. Consequently, someone who can do like a bunch of chin-ups, particularly with weight, probably also going to be able to squeeze someone's back really hard. And that should have a relatively high transfer to wrestling as well. And you want to make sure that you have well-rounded strength. So it's like when I'm putting together programs for my clients, I like to think of it as upper body push, upper body pull, hip dominant movement, and knee dominant movement. So like an example of an upper body push should be like a bench press or an overhead press. Upper body pull would be like rows, chin-ups, that sort of thing. Hip dominant would be things like deadlifting, kettlebell swings, that sort of thing. And knee dominant would be things like squats and lunges and that sort of thing. And then it's like you would just come up with a progression pattern for each one of those different movements to try to get stronger, so that in a way that will carry over to the game. So it's like you don't want to max out all the time. You do want to train hard, but if you can spend more time building your base, then the peak will rise as a default. And the stronger the base, the stronger the peak, the stronger you are, and the more your opponents are going to feel your power. So I hope that answers your question. If anybody else has any questions for me, drop it in the comments below, and I'll try to get back to you with your very own custom video answering your question. But if you like this video, let me know by hitting that like button. If you want to see more of this sort of thing, or you want to see the chronicles from my various performances across the country, subscribe to the channel. If you think anybody should see this, please share it with them. This YouTube thing isn't rocket science. And if you want to support the channel, do all the things that I just mentioned, or you could be a super thanks member. That sort of thing helps out the channel. Or you can also buy a copy of my book, which is available. Link is in the description below. This chronicles my story becoming a modern-day performing strongman, as well as some of the things I've learned along the way. But that is it for today. Stay tuned for next time, and in the meantime, please stay happy, healthy, and strong. Eric Moss, over and out.